All right, ready? I don't care about your feelings.
That was so odd. You'd be left of Lenin.
I can't believe you said that. Oh, jeez.
You have no power here.
What? Just two brothers.
It's just two brothers.
All right, we're going to add a new segment to the show. We're going to do the Daily Dumpster Fire. Now, there were a couple contenders to actually take the crown of the Dumpster Fire of the day. Portland, you're always on the list, and AOC, you're right there with them. If you're going to deliver what you're going to deliver, you're always going to be on the list to be the winner of the Daily Dumpster Fire. But today's winner is going to go out to Australia. Now, Australia, you've done a bang-up job. You are very deserving of the Daily Dumpster Fire Award. And how did you get that way? Well, it's going to go back to enforcing your lockdowns in an absolutely tyrannical way, which, however, they are allowed to do since, they still recognize a queen and a royal family. We made our decision in 1776. It's time you make yours. So
they got on this list by treating their citizens like they're animals.
Well, yeah, and they literally have. I mean, they've put together these restrictions. Now, keep in mind, we're going to run through some of the restrictions that they put in place, and they started these restrictions when there was just a few hundred cases. As of now, last time I looked, I believe they're right around like 1,200 deaths from the virus, I believe, where the entire country is. Keep in mind, that's 25 million people. And now we're seeing protests in Melbourne that just going off the rails.
Police move in fast to tackle and arrest. As anti-lockdown and anti-mandate protesters are grabbed on the tan. They had been loud and defiant, gathering in the Royal Botanic Gardens before walking the streets and blocking some. Walking the same path where Demons supporters gathered last Sunday to celebrate without police intervention.
Many young families are concerned, especially about giving it to our children when we have no long-term safety data on this.
At best, you're running the risk of generating more transmission. At worst, you're fueling a bonfire.
As the group crossed over St Kilda Road again, police formed a line across all lanes to stop the group from going back to the shrine. It wasn't a target today like last week, but police were there just in case. Instead, the group circled for almost an hour.
Our body, our choice!
At times disagreeing on their direction. Well outnumbered by police before they moved in from behind to stop the illegal gathering.
They start making arrests on the rear line and stay together.
Officers grabbed a few to disperse the rest.
Please stay, mate. Do you have anything on you? Peaceful protest. Listen.
This man says he lost his job in construction.
We're not here to cause violence. We're here to fight peacefully for our rights.
You copped a fine, you're going to pay it?
No, I'll contest it because it gets dropped.
Police now facing the issue themselves. They're part of yesterday's vaccination mandate for more than 1 million authorised workers.
And they've continued to extend the lockdowns. I forget where they are right now with their lockdowns. 240 some days, maybe 230 some days.
Yep. I think they still have it locked down to like October 15th, so they still got a ways to go. But I don't know if they're easing up now. But they deserve it. Let's keep going.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've done this, and they've done it not in a way that the United States has, did that either. Not even close.
That's because we have a thing called freedom. I know that's wild, Australia.
Right, and Australia also willingly disarmed themselves. Their citizens willingly gave away all of their protection from the government. So they're on a full lockdown. You can't go more than 5 kilometers from your residence, which is about 3 3/4 miles or so. Period. Like, that's as far as you can go from your house. And you can only leave for certain reasons. So some of these reasons, actually, these are all of the reasons. These aren't even some of the reasons. You can leave to buy groceries and medicine, to access healthcare, for work that's deemed essential. Now, I don't have a list of what is deemed essential, but I know there's very few people who fall in that category there. You are allowed to have 2 hours a day for exercise outdoors, but again, you have to stay in that 3 and 5 kilometer radius. You can leave and be outside to get a COVID-19 test or a vaccination. Now, they stop you, and you have to prove that's why you're outside. You can only be accompanied by no more than 2 members of your family, and if you're a single person, you can be accompanied by a person that they call a single bubble, which is another person that you actually have to go online. I went on the website. You have to go on the website and you register this person as your person that's in your single bubble, and you have to be registered with each other to be this person. One household or up to 5 people can gather outdoors for up to 2 hours, and that's again for the outdoor. So it can't be more than 5 people in a general area.
You know, I think they were even telling people that they weren't supposed to talk to each other during that either, if I remember correctly.
Oh, that could be. And I also believe that as of last week, I think they changed that to 1 hour instead of 2 hours. But I'm not 100%
nice.
certain. I listened to a whole bunch of information on that beforehand. So they are not allowed to leave their homes between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. for whatever reason. I don't understand why they pick that time. Now, this is also enforced by the military, and the fines are $3,700. That's what we have here. I know that's changed. It's changed to 5,000 Australian dollars, which is about 30. Yeah, it's about that, 3,900 American dollars. They have locked this down on a level that's kind of unbelievable, especially considering where they were in the outbreak. They locked down the entire country. Now, you keep in mind of how massive Australia is. I mean, it's huge, and they were locking down people on the other side of the country with no cases at all. They hadn't had any cases at all, and now they're experiencing, the riots. Didn't you have an update on this as far as how they're tracking people, where they go and whatnot?
Oh, yeah. So in South Australia, the government is requiring you to download an app to your phone, and that app uses facial recognition and geolocation. And then the state is going to send you a text randomly that you have to respond to in 15 minutes with a photo of where you are, proving that you're at home. And if you don't do that, then authorities come and show up at your home. This is the type of stuff that happens when you decide that your freedoms come from your government.
Yeah, that's
This is
exactly what they
exactly
did.
the stuff that happens when you decide that that's what happens. You see, people want to say that Western culture is all the same. It is not all the same. America is the only place that has decided that our freedoms come from nature, nature's God, or God, all of those, and that governments are instituted to protect those freedoms. That is the difference between America and all other so-called Western countries. Because nobody else has that. All of them decide that their freedoms come from government. And it's not true, and this is the type of stuff that happens. And that doesn't even talk about the quarantine camps that they're building. We don't even have that in here.
No, we don't. It's hard to find information about that. I watched.
I'm sure it is.
I watched a video that where somebody was doing a Zoom interview of a friend of theirs in Australia, and they said that there's a number of them, but it's really hard for people to get any information on any of that or see any of that happening because they can't be more than 5 kilometers from their residence, so that nobody can go anywhere.
This is a commitment by the Wagner family working with the Queensland government to say to the people of Queensland, we want to keep you safe. And the best way to keep you safe and to keep Delta out of Queensland is to build as quickly as possible a regional quarantine facility. I have listened to Queenslanders. I know how much they support a regional quarantine facility to be in Queensland. They want their community kept safe. That's what they're saying to me, and we are delivering it. This is a race. We are up against a highly infectious Delta variant that's sweeping the world. We don't know what's next. We need to get these facilities up and running, and everybody has seen how successful Howard Springs is.
You know what I find interesting? Australia claims that they're going to let up these restrictions after they reach their vaccination number. I have a quick question. Why would you build quarantine centers that aren't going to be done for 4 years if you're going to let up on your restrictions?
That is so suspicious. Like, I don't know what's going on there. I know there's a bunch of conspiracies around it. That really does abandon logic. I mean, it really, really does. But we also have to keep in mind when we talk about this that you and I are going to take a very American view of what's going on there, right? We have to keep in mind that they recognize a monarchy, that they willingly still pay unrepresented taxes to England. You know, they're about that life. Where here we're not. I mean, that is counterproductive to self-governance. It's hard for us to register that in our minds. So, you know, they're very conformative country. They're going to conform to what the government tells them. The government told them to bring in their guns. They'll buy them back from them. They did it. They didn't even ask questions about it. They just did it. And so from an American side, it gets a little bit difficult to understand that.
You know, and we've been talking about, at least in our last segment, we were talking about how death by 1,000 cuts, how these are just like little steps. Well, Australia has succumbed to that. This didn't they didn't get all of their freedoms ripped away from them just when COVID started. No, they willingly gave up their guns in a mandatory buyback that has not been shown to decrease their gun crime, or at least at the very minimum it had a questionable effect. And that was in the 1990s. Furthermore, they added in surveillance legislation. They added in hate speech legislation, which isn't a legally recognized thing here in America. Thank God, it never should be. But we talk about these death by 1,000 cuts. This is an exact example. Look at Australia. That's what happens when you slowly erode your freedom, or you put your head in the sand and say, I'm not into politics, or politics doesn't matter, or it's not a big deal to me, or you think that giving up these little things doesn't matter. Over time, it accumulates, and now Australia is at the point where where their government has a legal monopoly on violence against disarmed citizens. And they can't do anything about it.
Oh yeah, they're checking your papers just like they did in Nazi Germany. You got to have your papers. You got to have I mean, that's literally what they're doing. If you're outside, that's what they're going to do. They're going to stop you, and you better have all your things in order, or they're going to arrest you, and you're going to go to jail. I have the numbers right here. As of today, there's been roughly 110,000 cases of COVID and 1,321 deaths in all over the country. Now, I don't want to devalue those people that died, but that is a very, very, very low percentage compared to the 25 million and change that live in Australia. It seems very extreme. You know, it's just very, very extreme. The one thing I kind of want to go away with this is I wonder if this will spawn a rebellion against Britain.
What are we in? 1776?
No, we already did that here. Right. I mean, but, you know, Australia and Canada are very similar to each other that way. You know? I just wonder... Yeah, I just wonder if that's a reality we could see. I mean, you know, countries have separated from Britain in recent history. I mean, Scotland just did it not that long ago. I mean, you know, it could definitely be done. But I don't know to what depth, and it's hard to research it. The origin of these rules. I kind of feel like it's the people of Australia that are implementing a lot of these rules on themselves rather than England. I don't know that that's actually the case, because they're not doing that to that extent in England.
No, they aren't. Yeah, this is the Australian people implementing these on themselves, and I don't know if they're proud of it or not. But I know some of them aren't, because we have a lot of horrifying footage coming out of Australia, and the police state that they are really implementing on those who decide to use their better judgment.
Yeah, and again, as you said before, people don't realize the freedoms that we have here. They're going to go as so far. Now, you're going to hear it here first, people. They are going to make it illegal in Australia to say anything bad about what they're doing. I guarantee you that's what they're going to do. If you say anything negative about the lockdowns, if you say anything negative about any of the stuff that they're doing, the quarantine centers or any of that stuff, they are going to arrest those people for saying that stuff. That is the next step. And I would say that will be here in the not too distant future, in the next couple months at the most.
Taking notes from China, I see.
Yep, you bet.
Oh, that's good.
Taking notes from the leftist playbook, 1984.
Or from Animal Farm.
So, there we have it. The first winner of the Daily Dumpster Fire, Australia. You did a bang-up job taking out first place.
Well, I just want to say, if you have any more, if you have any suggestions for Daily Dumpster Fire, if you have any suggestions for segments or topics that you'd like to see us cover, please put them in the comments section below. We would love to interact and hear what you have to say. Please.
All right, that wraps up another episode of Just Two Brothers. Thanks for watching.
Just Two Brothers.